Do you ever stop to remind yourself that one day we all actually die? Does it scare you or make you anxious thinking about it? Or does thinking about death add the sensation inside you to start living your best life and to do the things that you want to do? I know it may not seem like the most glamorous, fun subject to talk about, but when we come to grip and acceptance that death is inevitable, it changes our perspective on the life we are living today. With that being said, today I want to dive into how not being scared of death can and will help us make the best of every day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Bay, episode 87. We are all going to die. Let's make today and every day great. We're all going to die. We all know this, right? I know. Peeps listening to this right now are like, pump the brakes, bearded man. I've barely just entered into my 20s and 30s. What in the world is all this talk about hashtag death? The reality is we have no idea when we're going to kick the can. Could be 30, 40, 50 years from now. Could be tomorrow for all we know, honestly, right? Do I think this idea of death should scare us? Make us want to stay indoors and hide away from all the madness in the world? Absolutely not. If anything, I think coming to grips and acceptance of it will create a fire within us to help us live our best life every day moving forward. So how's that possible, you're asking, right? Because once we realize this, we truly have nothing to lose and everything to gain. That's the moment we start to live our lives. We realize we're on this planet for a short period of time. We have no other option but to do the things that we actually want to do. That we can go for that dream job. That we can travel to that part of the world that interests us. That we can live a couple years in a city we've always wanted to spend time in. I genuinely believe that the sooner we come to accept the fact that we are all going to die, the quicker we can actually begin to live. So as I dive into today's podcast, let me remind you, beautiful folks, please, if you enjoy this episode at any moment in time, if I make you laugh, cry, smile, make you reflect on life, please screenshot this episode on whatever podcast platform you are listening into, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bobe, that's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y, and share it out on your IG story. Make sure you guys are subbed up if you're listening on iTunes or follow me on Spotify, wherever you are listening. Please do that. Thank you so much. Four values to live by that help us come to the acceptance that death is inevitable, and I think will help us change the chapter from a life of just going with the flow and not really doing the things we actually want to do to a new chapter, honestly, a new book where we're only doing the things that we want to do. So here's 4 values that I choose to live by. Number 1, shoot your shot, ladies and gentlemen. Whether it is sliding into the DM of someone you are attracted to, sending a cold email, applying to your dream job, asking to grab coffee with someone you are inspired by, when in doubt, shoot your shot. Why? You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. But what if they say no to the date? What if I don't get the job? What if the person ghosts me? First off, what if they say yes? What if you get the job? What if they actually respond? The only way to find out for sure is by shooting that shot. Second off, if it doesn't land, so what? To me, it is easier living the rest of my life knowing that I went for it than not going for it at all. It allows us to go, damn, that didn't work. Oh well, on to the next. And we keep shooting. To quote the great Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. And that's not just in hockey. That is across the board and life. Shoot the shot because you never know where it might take you. If you miss, get the rebound, shoot it again. And if you do make it, you're going to be thrilled you actually took the shot. Once again, ask yourself, what do I really have to lose? Shoot your shot. Number 2, follow your interests. Why sell ourselves short if this whole game of life is a one-shot deal? Why not push ourselves outside the comfort zone to try and do the things that we really want to do? Have you ever considered moving to New York City or another city in the world that you just could not believe seeing yourself live in? Have you thought about doing that within the next few years? Well, why not 2021? Why not this year? Is there a passion you have always wanted to try, but you never seem to find or have the time to do it? Why not do it this week? If there's someone you know really well and you've always wanted to ask them out, why not send that text today? Yes, this all goes along the lines of shooting your shot, right? What we just talked about. But most importantly, it's about following your interests. We all know the feeling inside when we're super curious, excited, eager, and wanting to be like a kid and dive right into something. Guess what? Nobody is stopping you except yourself. So follow the damn interests. And here's the beauty of it. You never know where something might take you unless you start. Bruce Springsteen never would have became the legend that he is had he not picked up the guitar. Steve Jobs would have never created Apple had he not followed his interest in technology. The bearded man would not be talking to your eardrums right now had he not invested all of his money at the time into equipment and forced himself to start. Think of the person that inspires you the most, whether it's in business, music, art, health and wellness, photography, etc. It does not matter the passion. There is no difference between you and them or me and them. You are just seeing the end product of years of work. All that they've done is consistently make one decision to follow that interest over a long period of time. And it took them to where they are today. As my father once told me when I was growing up, still to this day I remind myself of this lesson. And that legend will be on the podcast again sometime this year. When it comes to life, there is no dress rehearsal, right? If this truly is a one-shot deal, right, you got to follow your interests. Because if not now, then when? The excuse of I should have, could have, would have, don't work for the bearded man. No. It's less about the results and it's more about the process of actually doing. The first best time to start might have been last week, last year, or 10 years ago. But the second best time to start is now. Follow your interests. Number 3, ignore their opinion, please. Now, this topic gets me fired up, right? Fun fact, opinions, they're like assholes. Everyone's got one, and they all stink, okay? I think we all know that for a fact. Are we going to live our life based on the choices and opinions of others? Or are we going to choose to do something because it's our life? Brene Brown gave this the Man in the Arena speech. I believe it was back in 2013. YouTube, if you want to watch it after this, watch it after listening to this podcast. But in short, this idea is that we should not bother to listen or get caught up in the opinions of those who are not in the arena with us. It's easy to be the person sitting in the nosebleeds to point, criticize, and offer their opinion, but they should have 0.00% effect on our decision-making in life. Okay? Example, I do not take it to heart, the negative feedback of those who aren't in the podcast space, who aren't sharing their voice and opinions with the world on a public platform. Why? Because if you are not in the arena with me, if you're not out there throwing yourself out there like I do every single week, I have no reason to trust or believe in what you have to say. Now, if it's good things, well, of course, I'll take and listen to that and thank and show appreciation for their support all day long. But if it's any ounce of bad, any negativity, get that shit out of here. Go back to the nosebleeds, please and thank you. Let people's opinions in one ear and out the other. Life is way too short to be caught up on what someone else has to say about the way we choose to live our life. It's good to seek advice and get opinions from those that we trust and love, but ultimately, the decision needs to be made by us. A combination of listening to our gut and following our heart. That is the key. So let me remind you all, this beautiful experience of life that we're all just doing on a day-to-day basis, it's a one-shot deal. With the so little time that we are here, we don't have the time or the bandwidth to listen and live by others' opinions. This is our life. Let's live it our way. Ignore their opinion. Fourth value, deathbed check. You're hearing that and you're like, what are you smoking, bearded man? Sit back and relax. Let me get into it. When in doubt, ladies and gentlemen, use the DBC, the deathbed check. What does this mean? Let me explain. Whenever you're at a crossroads and you don't know whether or not to move forward with something or to take a shot on an opportunity, this will be a great way to help make a decision. The question I ask myself when trying to make a choice: fast forward to the day I'm on my deathbed. Hopefully, comfy bed, a lot of pillows, flowers around me, birds are chirping, long journey ahead till we get there. But let's imagine that, right? Will I be happy that I made this decision? Of course, things are going to play out differently depending on which option I choose. But as long as in this moment, I feel that this was the right choice, that's all that matters, right? Another way of using the DBC is trusting that the decisions I'm making today will be the ones that I look back on and think to myself, you know what? I'm glad I did that. I'll give you a couple of examples in the bearded man's life. I'm glad I went to Joshua Tree for the first time last month. I'm glad I started Purpose in the Youth podcast. I'm glad I took a red eye to surprise my sister for her 25th birthday in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm glad I drove Uber full-time for 19,002 total rides to build my creative career on the side. I'm glad I made the leap and moved 3,000 miles to Los Angeles, California. I'm glad I continue to follow my heart and listen to my gut. I can't speak. Listen to my gut. I'm glad that I lived the life that I truly wanted to live. That's the ultimate end goal, to be able to say that to myself and feel truthful about that. So thinking of it in that perspective will allow me to look back on my life and think, you know what? I gave it everything I got, and there's nothing I would do to change it. That's how we live today and every day great. That's how we use the DBC to our advantage. So when in doubt, use the deathbed check. To recap, instead of letting death scare us from living the life we dreamed of, we should let it motivate and inspire us. Why? Because the clock is ticking. We don't know when our time is up. We are the clutch shooter in the fourth quarter, baby, with all eyes on us. It is our time to shine right now, today. 4 values to live by that will help us live our best life. Number 1, shoot your shot. Whether it is asking someone out, applying for the dream job, sending the cold email, go for it. We've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Number 2, follow your interests. Whether it's packing your bags and moving to that city you dreamed of, starting the passion project, or starting a business, you never know where something is going to take you unless you go for it. Number 3, ignore their opinion. If they're sitting in the nosebleeds while you're in the arena, do not listen to them. Everyone will have an opinion. Don't let their 2 cents dictate how you live your life. And number 4, deathbed check. Whether you are at a crossroads, unsure of what to do next, ask yourself, fast forward to the day I'm on my deathbed. Will I be happy with this decision? If yes, go for it. Challenge for the listeners, you beautiful ladies and gentlemen. Which of the 4 values resonated with you the most today? The number 1, shoot your shot. Number 2, follow your interests. Number 3, ignore their opinion. And number 4, deathbed check. Take 60 seconds today, pull out your notes app on your phone or a piece of paper and write down how you could better utilize this value moving forward within your own life. Questions from the BMC, that is the Bearded Man community. If you're listening for the first time, welcome to the community. Absolutely no charge. You're now part of the club, and it's arguably one of the greatest clubs in all the land. So thanks for joining. Question, submission, or topic submitted from my man, Tim Weber. Is it the fear of death or the acceptance of life knowing it's temporary? fear versus acceptance. That's good. I think the best way to look at it is the acceptance, the appreciation of knowing it's temporary, which allows us to put a fire under our ass to want to do the things that we really want to do. So that's exactly what I was trying to dive into today. What Tim is pointing out is, are we scared to death, or is it the appreciation that knowing life is temporary? I think just looking at it in those two different perspectives, the acceptance is the way to go. By accepting that at some point we kick the can, that's just part of life. It's part of the cycle. I think it allows us to wake up every single day with a different perspective of, if I know that the end of this journey is me moving on to something else, I might as well do the things I really want to do. So that's great. Great submission from my man Tim. Next is from Vinny. 3 tips to remind yourself daily that life is short and that you got to live it to the fullest. Well, Vinny, I hope these are the 3 for you today. I think the shoot your shot, follow your interests, and ignore their opinion are the best 3. I do like the deathbed check as like a weird check to myself when I'm questioning if I should do something or not. But I think these are really good tips and advice that I personally use. They're kind of more of mindset shifts than anything. So I hope this was valuable to you today, Vinny. Pod review of the week. We've been getting some good pod reviews recently, so just want to give a shout out to everyone leaving reviews on the iTunes podcast app. The review of the week is going to Sean Levitin. Hopefully I pronounced that right. As you know, if you're a true listener to this podcast, I have the worst pronunciation of names of all time. He said, so subject of the review, let Babe feel your fire, with a fire emoji in the subject. That's how you know it's a real deal review. He gave it 5 stars, 5 out of 5 stars. Let's go. He said, content always on point, but Babe's energy alone is like a shot of fine brewed espresso. This man said fine brewed. He could have just said espresso. He said shot of fine brewed espresso. I'm flattered. He then goes to say, let this man light you up with his positivity and inner drive. Win the morning, win the day. Oh, baby. That's how you know. Sean's a true support right there. You win the morning, you win the day. Get those morning wins under your belt. Let it carry you through the rest of the day. Sean, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, support, and leaving that review, man. Your support is, I can't even say it enough through these podcasts, but anybody that's taking the time to listen and, keep tab on the Bearded Man on these podcasts, greatly, greatly appreciated. If you would like to be the review of the week, head to the iTunes podcast app and leave us a review. Right now, we're at 60. Let's go. Let's get to 100 before we get to this project to 100 episodes. So this is episode, let me check it again, make sure I got this right. This is episode 87. Can we get to 100 in 13 episodes? My fingers are crossed. I'm very hopeful. We got some incredible listeners on this podcast. Let's get this review on the iTunes podcast app to 100 by the time we get to episode 100. Can we do that? Can we do that? I hope so. Friendly reminder to you beautiful folks, if you enjoy the podcast, please screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag me at Babe, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y, and make sure you're subscribed on iTunes. If you're following me on Spotify, all that stuff helps on the back end, so please make sure you do that. That is episode 87. We are all going to die. Let's make today and every day great. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast episode. If you got any subjects or topics you would like me to cover next, shoot me a DM, slide through my DM, and we'll be back with some heater content coming. I got a lot of great stuff on the way, so buckle up, get ready, because it's the Bearded Man Podcast. See ya!